Hello again, I'm Robin. I'm an alcoholic. Speaking of suspects, no. That 4th of July was something else, and there was a hat involved, something with flowers, or it was a little off. And the next week, I went to the doctor with that hat on, with some fancy dress. Like, I didn't go out much, and I had big high heels, and I was wobbling along with this hat on, and the doctor said, if have you been drinking? Oh, no. But she said, with your blood alcohol level, I would be dead. So that was just the resting point. Anyway, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for asking me, and all my peeps are here, and you're always with me. My Empire Way people bracelet. So my drinking started at 16, and I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we were not a Mormon family, but we were in the cocoon there. And when I first started, like so many of us, my first thought was, I want to feel like this all the time, every day. And so, of course, here comes the pursuit. And I started sort of slowly. I picture it like a snowball that starts at the top and starts going a little slow but sure. And I was raised by wonderful parents, both of them very academic and very smart. And it's funny how our families, I don't know what you would say, the generational secrets are passed down. And the generational, let's just not talk about that. And if it was feelings, it's best not to have those hard feelings. And I was just talking to my sponsor today about how I still do that. I don't want to let people let them feel bad feelings, because it makes me uncomfortable. And that's not a good way to treat people. Anyway, so I started drinking, and all of a sudden I was a better student and prettier and thinner. And at that time I was in ballet, and I was so brave in ballet with drinking. And during high school, we always would meet beforehand, and even then, before the dances and stuff, and we would make all these things, and I always pushed the alcohol. I wanted people that drank like me, and there weren't a lot at that point in Utah. And then I went to college in the Midwest, and I think when I went to college, there's keggers, and I was in this dorm, and the first morning I woke up from the dorm, and I got in the elevator after staying out all night drinking, and there was like a washer and dryer in there. So people sort of passed out, and I thought, God, this is just perfect for me. But I really started sneaking and lying and stealing in college. I had roommates, and I was in a sorority, God help me. But I would steal the alcohol from somebody's desk. I would see it in there and then rush out and put it back, in college. And when I was studying for an exam, I would keep a little supply during college. And when I think back, I thought that was the first time I realized this was starting to be not so normal. And then I graduated from that college and went and lived in Memphis, Tennessee for a little while, and danced in a ballet company, and that was so great. However, King Alcohol, baby, the whole goal was to get home and drink. What are we going to drink tonight? My roommates are like, well, we're kind of tired. So it started to snowball. Okay, and I stayed there for 2 years. It was just wonderful, and here I am, living the dream, but not so much when I look back on it. I think that, it was great, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and then the company folded, and I was devastated. And that's really when my drinking started to take off. I didn't have, so I moved back to Utah and went back to school and just kind of had a pity party for a while and started to understand that, school was great and everything, but really what I want was to drink. And I'm going to surround myself with people that do that and that encourage it and that glamorize it. We're going to have a dinner party, right? And I remember putting a little seltzer in one of my wine glasses. Like, isn't this the classiest thing you've ever seen? Like, I'm just like somebody was talking about being a lady drinking. There was just nothing about it. So fast forward, I moved to Seattle with my first husband, and then I started working downtown, and the wheels are really rolling on my alcoholism. And I was working right downtown in a well-known establishment, and I had a drink during the day now, and then the morning. And I got to work one morning dressed up, and I had my stuff on, and I think my lipstick was a little off. And my beautiful colleague said, you really smell like alcohol. And I was like, what? I went over. Isn't it astonishing that we don't realize that people know? I was like, how did they know? And so I went and sprayed a bunch of perfume, and he said, I really think you should go home. So shortly after that, I quit that job because I knew I would get fired. And then I was in a free for all. Drank all day, every day. I'd ride the bus around and didn't have a job and had this big black coat and stuck things in the pockets. And I remember one time on the bus, I had rolled all my pennies and nickels and dimes. I need some money for alcohol, folks. And I'm on the bus with that big coat and my bag and sort of half in, half out. And I was going to go turn in the pennies, and I left them on the bus. So, and it was probably a total of $5. Mm-hmm. Seriously. But that to me was like, this is my ticket for alcohol today. So I was running after that bus like I'd left my firstborn child on there. And it was a dark moment. And then it got darker, and I would just drink all day. And people started to sort of be like, that's enough now. And I started to have some consequences. Up until this time, I think really my family protected me, and I created that. Poor me. Oh, I'm so sick, and I need some help. And can you help me? And our alcoholism creates that victim. And my family wanted me alive. So, boy, I had them by the jugular. I hate saying that because it sounds so horrible. But so I went camping with the cousin, and we went up to Bellingham, and we went camping and canoeing. It was so fun. And I was thinking, I wonder if 2 boxes of wine for 3 days is going to be enough. Don't we love those boxes of wine? Oh my God. I'm like, do I take it out of the box or cut it? So I just leave, all that. And he went down to get the canoe out of the water, and we were packing up, and I'd run out of wine. Okay. And he came back up, and I was putting the things in the car, and we're almost ready to go. And he looked at me, and I was covered with dirt, and I had blood coming down, and sort of hit my head, and I'd had a seizure and didn't know it. And so my family got wind of this, and they were like, something's got to stop here. Something's got to be done. So I was living downtown in this little studio and getting ready I had a glass, and in the mornings after he would go to work, I would just drink that thing down and calm my nerves, as it talks so much about in the big book. And he's kind of lingering. I'm like, okay, get snappy. And then I look out my little window, and I see my parents down there at the the bottom of the stairs, and they did an intervention. And, that the point at which you have to tell your child, either you got to go to treatment or we have to step back. It's too difficult for us to do this anymore. And it still breaks my heart that, that we're put in that position as parents, or, we put those that we love in that position, our disease does. So off I went to treatment, and it was a 30-day treatment in Chicago. And then I went to this wonderful place in Colorado called Clearview, and really got a base there. But I tell you, I was one of those, and I'm going to read a little bit about this, I didn't want to be a real alcoholic, and there had to be a loophole here. And I didn't realize that we learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed, not just put aside, but smashed. And, it says over here, over a considerable period, we get worse, never better. And it just never occurred to me that it was a disease that was progressive. And, but I did get some good things there. It's so funny. So I was there, and I was done with my month there, and it was really close to a maximum security prison in Colorado, like the baddest of the bad. And they would come to the meetings upon release, and I'd be like, wow, I don't know, I've never been there, and I've never been in jail. So looking for the differences, right? I'm not like that. So as old Clancy says, when we say I'm Robin, I'm an alcoholic, and I am looking for the difference. I wanted to be somehow I'm different than you guys. And so I was on my high horse and thinking, wow, I'm not like those people. No sooner did I say that, 2 weeks. Well, I guess it was about a month later, I was in jail. I had gone to a next step in my recovery, to a place where you get a job and you get out in the community, and it's in Florida, and how cool. And I thought, this is pretty great. And there were drugstores that had alcohol in them. And so I proceeded to hide it in my closet and drink, like nobody's going to know. That was my big thing. No one's ever going to know. And then this gal said, have you been drinking? And I'm like, wow, again. And I was so fearful that this is what happened next, guys. Okay, so I threatened her with a butter knife. Don't tell anybody. And then one of the counselors came in, and at this point, I'm not remembering anything. And this guy really got my goat. He always drove me nuts. He was like, I think you need to calm down. Gosh, this is so terrible. And I bit him on the wrist. Blood. He's like, I need an AIDS test. and then the police were called, and I did not want to go with those policemen, apparently, and I hit one of them in the face. And they put me in handcuffs and shackles, and put me in the back of a police car. And I came to in the back of that police car with, you can see in the rearview mirror your eyes, and I had a big black eye. I guess he hit me back. And, then I woke up in jail again. My roommate was a pregnant prostitute that worked the streets in Florida. And there I was. And I called my daddy and I said, please, will you bail me out? And he said, no, you're exactly where you need to be. Do you know what happened? Do you understand what led to this? And I had no idea. So, again, the consequences. Then I got back to Seattle, and drank some more. I drank some more. That wasn't enough for me. There has to be a loophole. And then my last drunk, I don't know, holed up in a motel. Ended up in Overlake Hospital. They called the ambulance because I fell down outside my room, and I woke up and they said, your blood alcohol level is 0.5. So I think you need some help. And so I went back to treatment. I did a lot of treatment, folks. I had a lot of opportunities, and found out I was pregnant with my first child, and that was it. And I said, oh my goodness, I didn't know it was it at the time, but I went to the International Convention downtown because I was living down there, right? And I was still really woozy and unsteady on my feet. And I met some people and they said, come on in with us to this international convention. And I'm telling you, we prayed, the big room, and it wasn't in the Kingdom or something like that. And there's a picture of it somewhere. And then they said to me, Robin, they remembered my name. Let's meet here tomorrow, right at this place. God, they were there. They were waiting for my sorry ass there. So, that started the seed again in my recovery to be sober one day at a time. And, then I realized that you can't just rest on that. I can't stay sober on that yesterday. There's work to be done. And I met my sponsor at a meeting for another program. And she said to me, I want to see how I'm doing on time. I got lots of time. Okay. I met my sponsor and she said to me, well, wow, looks like you've had a lot of help, a lot of opportunities to get sober. A lot of people would kill to go to treatment, would love to go to treatment, and do not have the capacity, whatever, the support. And I just went in and out, like knowing that my parents would pick up the slack until they didn't. And I was like, oh, wow, that was rude. And then she said, so I'm going to invite you. And a lot of you have heard this, so if I'm redundant, please forgive me. Take off your crown and put it aside and come down off your throne and join us in the rooms of AA. Because there is a solution. She said, there's a solution. Oh, it brings me to tears every time I think about it. And I thought, a solution? Nobody ever told me that there was a solution. And I said, I knew I needed to get her for a sponsor, but I just wasn't quite ready. So I called her back and I said, I think I'm ready to get a sponsor, like, ta-da. And she said, okay, so when you're really ready, give me a call back. I'm busy and people are dying to be sober. So when you are ready, you give me a call when you are serious. And nobody had ever spoken the truth to me. My family loves me and loved me, but they were too scared to tell me the truth because I was going to kill myself drinking. And she told me the truth. Gets worse, never better. So we started on this path through the steps, and she taught me to listen to the truth. I did not want to hear it. And she reminds me all the time that I love to paint people in different colors than they are, and situations. It's going to be fine. It wasn't that bad. And I spoke with some of my darlings today about, trying to smooth it over. I learned that at a really young age, to smooth it over. If everybody's even keel, then, and not feeling too sad or bad or mad, then it's gonna be okay. But I didn't allow the people in my life to feel. And so then I had to start feeling, gosh darn it, when we get sober, we start to feel. No wonder we drink, it hurts. But we started the steps, and I got to step 1, and that was pretty clear. And then step 2 was hard for me because gosh, I was raised by scientists and all that kind of baloney. So if you're new and you're struggling with a higher power, my higher power found me. All I had to do was shut my mouth and listen, and it came in there somehow without my permission. But all of a sudden I woke up at, I don't know when it was, maybe 90 days. And I realized, my goodness, I didn't think about alcohol all day yesterday. Like the whole day. I thought about it a little, but it wasn't my obsession all day. And I felt lighter. I felt a little lighter. And then, I got a year, and here we come. And then I started to really believe, and I tried every other avenue to get sober, and nothing worked. And then I come to Alcoholics Anonymous for fun and for free, and I started to laugh. Do you guys remember the first time you laughed in sobriety? Like really laughed. It is the most beautiful thing. And in the fall, I got sober in the fall, and the leaves changed color, and I thought, God, have they always changed? When did they start doing this? Because we're in a cloud. We're in a cloud of alcoholism, and we know but a little. I still know but a little. And at that time, I just knew but a little. And then I continued through the steps, and we did a 5th step, and my sponsor lives across the water. And so we had our 5th step, and, we had tried before. It was a little too dramatic. She's like, this is not a Pulitzer Prize winning book to be published. Can we just cut down on the drama? Oh my gosh. Just the writing. I was like so descriptive. She's like, I get it. Can we keep it to that? So we tried again, and I went over, and it was just, a great 5th step. And I got on the ferry, taking the ferry back here. And I opened the book, and I can't remember the exact words, but it says, if we've kept something to ourselves, go and sit for an hour and think of what you forgot. It just bugged me. And it bugged me all over that ferry. And I walked around the ferry like, maybe if I just walk around, it'll go away. But I called her back, and I said, I left something out. I need to let you know that. And so we had a full 5th step. And then I started to move beyond. And she said, it's time for you to sponsor somebody. Boy, I tell you what, I was not ready for that, because I was the sick one. I was so entrenched in that I was the one that needed help. And she's like, it's time. So if you raise your hand, and you don't raise your hand like that. You raise your hand. When they say, is anybody willing to be a sponsor? You are committed. And so I got my first sponsee, and so funny. A little side note. My the Kegel's web weave. So I got my first sponsee, and she said to me, would you be willing to hear my 5th step? And I was like, what a privilege. So we went through the 5th step. And when I lived in Queen Anne and was still drinking a lot, I would go into this restaurant. I had my work clothes on, and I would drink. And do you want something to eat today? Or what? Oh, I'm waiting for somebody. No, thanks. I'll just have another drink. And then I would say, it only worked once, but I'd say, oh my goodness, I forgot my wallet. Here's my business card to a job that I did no longer work at, but I'll be back. When she was giving her 5th step, she said, I started to think I was an alcoholic when I served a woman in Queen Anne, and she never came back to, so we made that connection. So amazing. I got to make a financial amends to her, but I was like, wow, and then, but that, to sponsor somebody else really changed me. All of a sudden, it's, again, God, self-centered and self-seeking we are, wasn't all about me. I got to give this thing away. I never thought I would have anything to offer anybody because I was a taker. Boy, I was a taker for so long. And if you didn't have anything left, I was going to squeeze it out of you. And if you still didn't have anything, I know there's a drop left in there. It's so amazing. And so I got to start making amends to my people. And my sponsor said, yeah, we're not going to be making a lot of frothy emotional appeals, especially to your family. Your job right now is to make living amends. And I so wanted to go in and give that big, frothy, I'm so sorry. But those words fell on deaf ears. I've said it a million times. So little by slowly, as my wonderful friend Mary, who's no longer with us from the Eastside Alano Club, said, little by slowly, you show up. I sent him a birthday card. I sent him these little stuffed animals that first Christmas that I got at the Goodwill, and I tied a ribbon around their neck. That, not like, but with a little cute card or something, and I sent them in a box. I could show up. I showed up on time, and I'll tell you, when I was 6 years sober, this is my last long diatribe, but 6 years, and I was visiting my parents. Years, folks, not days. 6 years sober. And I thought I was all that. And I went to see my parents, and, I went out to dinner with my friends that live in Salt Lake City, and I was unavailable on my phone, and my mother was beside herself, and I got home, and she was like pale and worried and sick. And she said, God, I was so worried. We were not able to get in touch with you. And we've been beside ourselves. And I said, God, chill out, in my head. And I called my sponsor and I said, this is what happened. And I bet they thought I went out drinking. And I said, how long do I have to put up with this? And she said, you stop right there, because this disease created that. You created that, eggshell. So you get the privilege today, of working your way back to that trust. And I was able to be with my mother when she took her last breath. And my dad died more suddenly. And those were my worst fears. I'll never make it through those things sober. How do people do that? But you guys told me about that. People lost their children, their loved ones, had terrible things happen in their lives, and they stayed sober. And I thought, how in the world do you do that? So I made it through, and I put my coin on my dad's chest when he was cremated, as a final amends. Like, at least I can be sober. If nothing else, I can be sober. And today that's good enough for me. And I try to, Kelly had mentioned something about, boy, does my higher power really have my back? How about now? How about this big thing that's happening? And when I look back, everything happens for the best, because I don't take a drink today. And the reason I don't take a drink today is this fellowship. And I'm so happy to be sharing with you guys today. And everybody in this room means so much to me in different ways. And thank you for letting me.